Nora, when we were working with your team, there were some big ahas about what it meant to work with collaborative leadership, collective leadership. We bandy around these terms in healthcare and other organizations, but what do they mean and how do you actually implement them? So, was there something that was an aha for your team that you could speak to with me today? What was the aha that you discovered as you as you tried to dig into this as a team?
The aha was, we did discuss, well, what's the difference between collaborative and collective? Um, and, the aha was, the moment we discovered that collaborative actually wasn't working. Collaborative, really the definition was, is that we're all going to collaborate together and we're all going to come to a decision that we all agree upon. And because I am engaging and putting in my knowledge and my experience, and much of my skills, that information needs to be incorporated in the end decision. And that is where we were getting stuck. We wanted to be collaborative. We wanted people to engage at all levels of the organization because people were feeling that they really didn't have a say. So we had a session, a Zoom session, and we talked about the levels of decision making that groups engage in, and that leaders need to um, sort of decide up before the meeting as to what the level of decision making the group can engage in. That is collective leadership, and it can move upon a continuum. But at the beginning of the meeting, it's very important to say there are a number of items on this agenda, and here are these items. And together, we're all going to talk about and we're all going to come, perhaps, hopefully, come to a consensus about item A and D. But item B and C and E, they're really not negotiable. They're not, and here's the reason why. And so it was difficult for leaders to understand that that's where we needed to go, to be collectively moving towards the same goal and understanding the why behind we can't change this decision. And so we provided the why, but collectively we knew we had to move together, and it was being honest, um, it was being truthful, and it was actually living our values, and stating, "This is what we can do, and this is what we can't do together, but collectively, we're all going to move together and do this." But it was that deep, deep discussion about the levels of decision making that groups get into, but it can't be below the surface of the iceberg. We have to be explicit and upfront, and that provides a lot of trust for those who we lead, by being having that implicit and having it under the water. If people are swimming around in a fog and are really not sure the direction that they're going in, what the norms are in terms of decision making, and what the end outcome is going to be.
Yeah. So that bringing that to sort of conscious awareness, so you were and intentional about what you want to do. One of the things that I recall the day we had the conversation when people realized what they had to stop doing to make that possible, because there was an intention then to do some more collective leadership, and then there were some struggles with that even when the boundaries were clear. What do you think made it possible for people to begin to see that there were some things they had to stop doing?
What made that possible was actually the conversations that both that courage group facilitated. That was a tricky time for the growth of the team, understanding what we had to stop doing. Um, and it was not only as a group, but it was individually, where we sat back and we reflected and we wrote down, what do I need to stop doing and what do I need to start doing? And then as a group, what do we need to stop doing and what do we need to start doing? Because we all are, our leadership styles are a little bit different, but in order not to confuse those who we lead, we really needed to consciously take those first steps together. Um, And when we had our leadership team meetings, we made an item in which we would talk about how it was during that week prior in terms of stopping what we all collectively agreed to do and also stopping what individually we had decided we would stop doing in order to make it far more clear for those who were leading um, about the decisions that were being made and how they were going to be made, and also why that was impacting the direction we were going in. Eh, Consciously reflecting together was very, very important because it, first of all, made sure that we didn't leave that behind because it's easy to leave behind your learnings. And so it held our feet to the fire, and it was also great for us to be honest with each other because I learned a lot from individual team members when they talked about how halfway through the meeting it was like, oh my gosh, I've just continued to do what I was supposed to stop doing. And so you didn't feel alone when you sometimes you know didn't exactly meet what you had thought you were going to meet that week. So it was great collective learning.
Mm. What you're also talking about here is the way that you continue to practice and experiment, and that's such an important part of the process. It's not just the conversation you have when you're with your coach or whether you're doing some leadership development. It's what you do after that makes such a difference.
Yes, and I do have to say too, it was, the homework that we were provided in between our, team coaching sessions, that actually, helped us realize that not only were we doing homework one-on-one, that we also had needed to, once a week, get together and, follow up, and as you say, intentionally talk about this and learn from each other and keep the momentum moving forward. And the one thing that I do have to say is that the team was dedicated and motivated and energized to move forward. This was a group decision to move forward, and that really needs to be pretty implicit as well. Because I've been in other coaching situations where teams have not actually agreed to the coaching and the reason why it's required and what the end outcome is hoped to be. So it was a great moment in time.
Mm, yeah, it was very exciting working with a team that was so committed to their learning.